Here's a story I hear a lot. You're growing your team, but your software bill is growing faster than your revenue. Because of the fact that with every new user you add, you have to sign up with another $150, $200 worth of software because you added a new user to your tools. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to build an application that uses Zite. It does not have a cap on the number of users, and you don't get charged every time you add a new user to your application. So this is a way that you can build your own custom software to help you stay more organized, automate more of your work, and all of that without incurring additional charges every time you add a new user. So if you're ready to unlock the new potential of vibe coding and no coding tools, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. It's my mission to help you unlock the full potential of no-code tools, and we have been doing this work here on YouTube for over 10 years, leading with Airtable and Fillout and Zite and Zapier, and all the tools in this space that help you build custom software without any code. Now in this video, as I said, we're taking a look at Zite, and we're going to be building an internal application. And we want to make sure that we solve the big tax problem, the user tax, the growth tax, whatever you want to call it. What we're trying to solve for is that when you add a new user, we don't want you to incur a new charge. Why should you have to pay for the fact that your application has one more user to it? Well, in this video, we're getting away from that growth tax and we're building an application that doesn't matter how many users you've deployed to it. I'm going to start here actually on Fillout or Zite's pricing page. Now, if you've never used these tools before, let me give you a quick history or background about what's going on. This company started as Fillout, and it was an incredible form software. The form integrated with Airtable, with Notion. It allowed us to build really complex and intricate forms, and it integrated directly with whatever data layer we already had. Now, that was the start, but the makers, the creators over at Fillout are true visionaries, and they saw the future. They were building vibe code applications before it became popular, and so they were able to launch and keep up in this regard. Their newest evolution includes the tool called Zite. And Zite has become so popular that the entire company is now referring to itself as Zite, and Fillout is simply the form component that is kind of nestled under the bigger component of vibe coding and building your own applications. The Fillout forms are the pricing page I'm on now. So you get your unlimited forms for free, $0 a month. And of course, you can have your one flat fee for unlimited users. So depending on the type of forms that you're using, the amount of responses, whether or not you want to remove branding, having custom fonts, favicons, custom CSS, these things become available at the higher pricing tiers for the forms. But that's just the form side of things. Let's make sure we look at the full picture. So your forms are the Fillout component. The other side of the equation is Zite, and it's significantly more affordable than you might think. You can get started for free, $0 a month, but you can also pay more for more credits. And the thing about Zite, the thing that makes it so powerful is that we're not getting charged for every new user that we add. In fact, we only get charged every time we're using our credits. When we're working and actively building and improving our application, that's what we're paying for. So depending on how much building and how many, revisions you plan to do and how much prompting and AI work you will do in the tool, that's going to dictate how much you spend. But you can launch an entire application for as little as $15 a month and launch this out to as many users as you can handle. They have a scale option as well for $250 a month. Of course, this is a much bigger, much more robust plan. So really figure out what the right fit for you is. If you're looking for those unlimited users, if you need 1 million database records, if you need the granular permissions, you might want to go upgrade to that team bundle. But the standard plans offer 100,000 database records, give you one custom domain, and allow you to remove branding. So let's be fully transparent up front. We've got the Fillout side, which is the advanced forms. They have a free option, but if you want more robust things, you might pay for an upgrade. And then you've got the Zite side, and that's the AI component. How are we building our application? But all in, I think you can still agree that these software costs are going to be much lower, much more manageable, and the fact that you don't have to increase your costs when you add new users is going to make this a more desirable option. Now let's get into building an application. It's actually quite simple, and even with a first pass, we're going to have a pretty good app. I'm going to show you step by step what I recommend because there are some key features that you might not see if you're going quickly. So we're going to start by creating, and it's going to ask us what we want to create. And in our case, let's start by building an app. Now, what I really care about anytime I'm building a new application, the first and most important piece of it is getting the database layer correct. I could have started with the database, but I want the database to be built automatically. So I'm just going to show you how simple it is. We're going to get the database built in addition to the first pass at our application. So I've got a prompt already written. You'll note that this is very simple. This is something that I could have gone into a lot more detail, but I want to start small. All I really care about at the first pass of building an app is getting that database layer correct. And for us, we're imagining that we're building an application that allows our team who is in the field to pull up on their mobile device and see what their current jobs are and update the status of those jobs as they go through the process. Really simple stuff. So from a data perspective, what do we have? Jobs with a status field and users. Those jobs have to link to users, of course, so that the users only see their own jobs. So I've put a really simple prompt in here. And now for the tricky little behind-the-scenes components. I want you to pay attention to every detail here. First and foremost, we can click on plus. What AI model are you using? By default, this is often set to auto. So if you want to insist on using maximum intelligence, note that this will, of course, use more of your AI credits, but you'll very likely get better results as well. So I prefer to build with the Zite Max, but it's up to you. Be thoughtful, of course, about how many credits you have and what plan you're on. Next, what is the data layer? Where is your data going to live? Now, you'll notice that, of course, you've got access to Airtable, OpenAI, Slack, Google Sheets, and Fillout. Most importantly, database. This is the internal Zite database. So if you're starting from scratch, why not build your data layer in Zite already? If you're not from scratch and you have this data living in Google Sheets or living in Airtable, then of course integrate with wherever your data is. But for us, I'm just going to build it fresh. So you got a chance of either syncing this new app with an existing database in Zite or separately creating a new database, which I'm going to choose. So now that we've got that, the next layer is the overall theme. How do we want this thing to look? These are the preset themes that you can select. You don't have to settle with any of these. We can always go back in and make updates later. But for us, I'm going to stick with that nature theme. It's that nice green, green and gray motif. So we'll go with that. Next layer, don't sleep on this one, is your access. Is this an internal app for your organization only? So we're granting access to members of our team, or is this shared to the web? Note that by default, this will be set to auto, so you can control who you want to give access to. You can get really granular and choose if you want it to only be internal, like for our example. Now, you also have the dictate option. This is really helpful if you're just kind of stream of consciousness, thinking out loud, and you want to have Zite kind of take that down, that dictation. For us, I already have a copy-paste prompt, so we'll move on. This is the most important thing. If you miss this, I promise you, you will regret it. Don't just hit build it. Hit this drop-down arrow and plan it. Plan it is the newest feature from Zite, and it allows the prompt to actually think before it goes to build the application. And it's going to send us some questions. So I'm going to make this selection, and you'll see that this step is actually really, really valuable. So what do we care about the most right now? We care about the database layer, but we also want to make sure that we are in planet mode and that Zite asks us the questions that we might not have already thought about. And this way, we are going to get aligned, and the thing that gets built is going to be closer to what we actually want. So first thing it asks us is, what are the different status that we want the jobs dropdown to include? You get to pick whatever you want here. It gives us a few options. We can make a selection, or we can write in some custom status. For us, I'm going to go with the pending, in progress, and complete. Now you see we immediately get another question, and we've got 3 here. We can go back and re-answer that last one, by the way. But let's say we're still happy here. Here it's like, okay, what are people going to see? Do they only see their own assigned jobs, or do they see all jobs? Or do they see a dashboard with today's job plus a full job list? I actually kind of like that idea. Let's go with that. Next, it's asking us who can create new jobs, or rather, can technicians create new jobs, or can they only view or update the existing ones? So I imagine that in our application, we have another user type that can create jobs. Maybe we call them an admin, and that the first pass here is just our technicians. If you try to vibe code too much all at the same time, it doesn't give you the opportunity to test things out. So we really need to kind of do this in bite-sized pieces. So for now, I don't want anybody creating new jobs. So I will say view and update the status only. Now, Zite is going to go and build our application. It's going to take a few moments. So let's pause here and we'll come back once we have something to show. Now here's that plan function really in action. Not only did it give us those 3 questions to help kind of refine what we're doing, but it's also going to give us the layout of what it is we're doing. This is the plan that it just came up with, and this is far more robust than the initial prompt that I shared with the tool. So it did all the lifting for me, all the thinking, and it hasn't even started building yet. If I like this plan, all I have to do is say build plan. If I want to make changes, I can make changes directly in the text here. So let's go ahead with build, and we'll sync back up. Now, within just a few moments, the first thing that Zite brought back for us was the database recommendations. So it's saying, look, this is what I'm building. It's showing you what is synced from the app's users upon login. So each of these fields within the users table, it's showing us that this information exists within the login instance. And then we also have the jobs table. If we want to make changes here to the way the database is going to be created, we can edit this right here before we push the next step. But for now, let's go ahead and move on with this, and we'll just say create database. If we skipped this step, of course, the application can't be built. We have to have the data layer. This is the most important thing on our first prompt. Now we'll take another pause, let Zite do some more thinking, and we'll be right back. It took a few minutes and there was some pausing in and out, but now we have an application built, at least a first pass, using Zite. So let's go ahead and see what was created in that first prompt. So first we've got the app itself, second we have the workflows, and third we have the database. I kind of think that these things are out of order because when you're building an application, the database is the most important layer and the application is the third thing that comes out of it. The application is where people are going to do most of the work, but it's a byproduct of your data layer and your workflows. So let's start by looking at our database. We have the users table that are linked to jobs, and then we have jobs. And we can see that somehow this is linked as both a technician and as the user. This happened because when Zite created the initial prompt, it was linked correctly. And then I said, hey, I actually want to share this application and make it public. And so I changed it, and you'll see that Zite went through one more step. Initially, we built an internal application, and then it changed it to share it with the web, and it made these changes. Some minor changes, yes, but it meant that we got linked again. But by and large, the application was built correctly. And most importantly, we got our users table and our jobs table. And this information is visible in the application layer. So let's go ahead and impersonate Emily, but first we're going to see what Emily is connected to. She is assigned to the database migration job, which is complete. So when I go into the app as Emily here, and I'm only seeing the preview capability because I'm in edit mode, but here I'm going to see Emily's experience. She has no jobs assigned today and no work. She can go over to look at her all jobs, and she's going to see her database migration, which is in the third stage, completed. Cool. Let's back up here, back up a couple times. We're going to now impersonate someone else. We're going to take over as Jane and access the app that Jane would see. In Jane's case, give it a moment to load here and see that there are 0 jobs today. And again, here, this one is in the pending state. So the default date that was assigned here is October 22nd, 2023. Of course, if we wanted to update this, we could update the date and we would be showing on the today dashboard. Note that Jane can click here to start the job, and that automatically moves it to in progress. She can also click on the job and it's going to open up the job details here, show her the information, show her the map, show her the date, and again, she can click through the different stages and mark it accordingly. Now we want to take this application a little bit further. So we've got the capability for our technicians to log in. They can see their active jobs. They can see what's due today. They can see what was passed, and they can update the information. But what we don't have is the ability for admin users to come in and put jobs into the system. How do we actually get jobs in there? So let's jump in and update with a new prompt. But notice again that I have the abilities here, many of which are similar to what we had in the beginning. So I can add an attachment, update my model. I can update my integrations. In our case, we're still synced up to that same database, no problem. I can change the design, and I can go through plan, chat, or build mode here. So this is, again, that feature that I think that you can't sleep on. Go to the planning, and I'm going to paste in another prompt. This one basically outlining, hey, we want to add a new function here where we have an admin user who's different from a technician. And we want the admin user to be able to create new jobs, whereas the technicians can only update the existing information that pertains to them. Notice that I put it in plan mode. I send through my instructions. And again, Zite is going to go through a lot of the thinking for us. What do you want us to build here? Now, while it's doing that thinking, I also want to call out that this application here was built as a mobile-friendly application. You can see here that it's already thinking about that because it was in my original prompt. This is a mobile app. This is something people need to access from their phones. And this gives Zite a leg up because it's something that many of the other tools don't do. This can now allow you to start from the mobile device first when you're building your very first pass. Now, Zite has thought through a plan and it's pretty intense. I want to actually walk through what it did because it did so much heavy lifting in the background that we would normally just hit build plan and move on without even reading. If I'm being honest, that's how most people vibe code, but I want to call out what's actually happening here. When we sent that prompt through, Zite went through and made several changes. It read the backend library, it read the app layout, and it got context for what's going on. Then it went into thinking about the approach and most importantly, created the plan, which is the role-based views and admin job management. This is the plan, right? So this thing right here, put that plan together, wrote it for us here, and now it's up to us to approve or deny. And so it put this entire plan together with full context of what's going on inside of our application. We never had to leave the environment, and now it's time to build again. So those changes took time to implement, as will many of the prompts that you work with in Vibe coding. The key takeaway here is that we're taking this in bite-sized chunks. You'll notice that we've done 2 core prompts thus far to build separate but similar functionality. We started with jobs and users, and now our second prompt is complete. So flipping into our database, you'll see that on our users table, we now have the new role field. So depending on how someone is labeled within the system will dictate what type of action they're able to take. So now Emily has been administered the admin role type, which means that Emily will have new permissions inside the application. So let's actually test our live app out. Rather than just sampling it and previewing it, let's actually add a new user here. We will create a new user record, and it'll be me. I'll test it as myself, and I will put in my email address just to make sure that I can access it. I do want to give myself admin permission so that I can test out the new functionality of creating these jobs. And from here, I will publish the app and then go ahead and open a live version of the app in another page. So let's go ahead and log in. I'll use my email address and continue. It's going to send me a link, and that way it's, protecting the application, making sure that I am who I say I am. Flipping now into my inbox, I've opened up that email. All I have to do is say confirm email, and I'm now logged into the app. So this is what I will see, and you'll notice that because I have the admin perspective, I'm able to add a new job. Furthermore, I can see all the jobs across all of the different team members, and I get this little thing at the top that says management. So this app is built mobile first. This is a mobile first app. It does look a little funny on my desktop, but imagining that I'm in the field, able to pull this up, push new job and assign it. Let's see how that new job functionality works out. I can give it a name, test, assign an address, whatever that is, give it a date. Let's go with 17th. The status by default will be pending, and I can select a tech, either Jane or John. These are the only people in my database who have the technician component, so that was properly assigned. Just like that, I created the job, the page refreshed, it includes the new test job assigned to Jane, and new action can already get started on this job. So that's it. We are in a brave new world. It sounds cheesy, but it's so true. How much you can do now without knowing how to code, so long as you understand the fundamentals of database building, automation, and the user interface components. With a few prompts and a little bit of patience, you can build an amazing result just like this using tools like Zite. I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you need help on your next project, swing by our website. We have a ton of resources for you, many of them free, including an inquiry or strategy call that you can have with our team. It'll help outline next steps for you, and it won't cost you a penny. You can schedule that directly from our website. Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. But the most important thing, my friends, keep on building.